Hey guys! Today I'm starting a small new mini-series in which I'll invent something brand new every video for a different type of map. And let's start with something new for a warm-up course or maybe even an adventure map. The very first and unique moving target aim practice. So, I'm not sure exactly yet how long this series is going to be, but from adventures to puzzles to Deathruns, PvP maps, anything you want, I got you covered. And we'll be inventing a brand new and original mechanic for each and every type of these maps. So, let me know in the comments what type of map you want me to invent something for next. Maybe Deathruns? But before we do that, I need you guys to do me a favor. You see that like button? Smash it, it really helps and I promise I won't ask again this video. So go, like it. Thank you. Anyway, let's focus on this gun range first, or aim practice. I'm gonna categorize this as extremely advanced, everything is on fire, please help me category. So if it doesn't work, just take a deep breath and go through the video again step by step. Or join my Discord to link in the description below and I'll try to help you out as soon as possible. But don't worry, I promise the other mechanics in this series are going to be a lot easier, at least most of them. Now we've had this shooting range gallery for a very long time now. I think maybe even from the very beginning of Creative. And they're a lot of fun, but sadly enough they don't have any channel support yet. So there's no way to actually use them in an automatic way or bind trackers to them or triggers when you shoot them. So we're going to have to big brain our way out of this one and combine trick tiles, target dummies, score managers, teleporters, item granders, perception triggers, all of that. This way we can kind of cheat our channels into the shooting range. First, let's grab a shooting range gallery. Then pick any of the targets you like. I suggest using one of the moving ones as they're a lot more fun and interactive. Change the length and the hopping as you want. You can fine-tune and change it for each one of the levels or targets. Now the only options that really matter for the mechanic to work is the score. And set this to 1. And then the reset time to 10 seconds. Everything else, leave it as is. You can, however, like I said before, just play around with the shape, direction and hop time. And I'll copy it over 2 more times. We're going to do 3 targets per level, but you can change this as you want. Next up, we need to close off this level, and I'll explain you guys why in a little bit. You can use anything to block it off, either trick tiles or a barrier, it's the prettiest. But since trick tiles are the newest relatively, I'm going to use that. So build a wall in front of the shooting range and then add trick tiles to each one of them. Again, easier with a barrier, but gotta mix it up, you know. Then set the activate delay to none. And then for our channels, bind the trigger when receiving from to channel 1 and the reset when receiving from to channel 2. And do this for all your walls that are blocking your gun range. Now, finally, let's add a button that is going to start the training using that exact channel. So throw down a button and very important here, set the reset delay to 20 seconds. And let me explain to you guys why exactly 20 seconds. Now, since we can't control with channels when these targets are going to pop back up, we have to wait till they automatically come back up. And how long does that take? Well, it takes 10 seconds, because that's the time we set in the options for the target dummy. Then what we'll do in a little bit is set up a timer that gives you 10 seconds to shoot all 3 targets and complete this exercise. So, calculating 10 seconds to shoot, 10 seconds till the target pops back up, meaning that we need to have 20 seconds timeout or reset delay on the button to make sure that all targets are back up before you can start again. So, back to our button. 20 seconds reset delay, as we said, visible during game to know, so that we can kind of put it, you know, an NPC around it, and then an interaction radius to 1 meter. And of course, when interacted with, transmit onto channel 1, which is already bound to our trick tiles here on the wall to open up. Now, before we test, let's grab an NPC. And I saw a lot of people asking where these jellies are from in my Cupid adventure map, so let me show you guys. Go to your galleries and then look for the lighthouse category. Then inside it you can find the Coral Cove prop gallery. Grab that and throw it down. You can see here on the right side, they're very small, but these slimy jelly kind of things, we can just resize them. And when we do that, we have this. So let's put them right here in the bottom. Now we got that. All we need to do is add our timer. So go into your creative inventory and grab one of these timed objective devices and put it down. Leave the time to 10 seconds. Set the timer label text to something like shoot the 3 targets before time runs out. The timer label text style to default. Then the completion behavior to reset. This will set the time back to 0. And remove urgency mode to disable the siren sound. Now change to the channels tab and set the start when receiving from to channel 1, our button, and then when completed, transmit on to channel 2, which is going to reset all our walls that we already set up with the trick devices. Lastly, before we can actually test this, we know that when the time runs out, the walls will come back up, but we still need to kick the player back out to the correct side of the walls. So throw down a teleporter back on the back side of your wall, right next to your NPC, and configure it as followed. Remove the group and target group. Remove the visual effects, sound and visibility, and then bind the teleport to when receiving from to channel 2, which gets called when our timer runs out and our wall comes back up. So let's start the game and see just how it looks so far. Run to our jelly and we can see the interaction. Press the button and you can see the walls opening up, giving us access to our gun range. Timer starts and we have 10 seconds. Although we don't really have any weapons yet. And then boom, we get kicked back out again. Perfect. Now, there's 3 more parts missing. The first one is pretty obvious. Guns. The second one is going to be inserting our channel support to determine if we manage to actually complete the level or not. And then the last one is going to bind mechanics to these channels to create multiple levels of the gun range. So first up, gun. Grab an item granter and all we have to do is set the grant item when receiving from to channel 1, which is when we start the level. Then grab a gun, like a hand cannon for example, and drop it in the item granter. Now, time to finally get our channels involved in the actual hitting of the targets. And to do that, we're going to use the attribute trigger. Throw it down outside of your map and set the minimum team score to 3. And the listen to channel 2. When checks are valid on a new channel, let's say 3, and if invalid, on 4. So let me just clarify and explain how this will work. We know that the score value for each of these moving targets is 1. So when the walls open up, you have 10 seconds to shoot the 3 targets. Depending on how good and how many targets you manage to shoot, you will have a score of anywhere between 0 and 3 when the timer runs out. When the timer runs out, a signal will get transmitted on channel 2. Then this attribute trigger is listening to that channel and is going to say either, "Oh, good job, you got 3 points," or it's going to say, "Sorry, it's invalid, you didn't get the required score," allowing us to determine if the player managed to beat the level or not. But before we do this and before we test this and add more levels to it, we need to reset the score in between every round. Doesn't matter if you won or lost, your score needs to be set to 0 again, so that you can start the same level or the next one again. To do that, very easy, we're going to use a score manager. So throw it down and configure it. Leave the score value to 0, and then change the award type to set, meaning the score of the player will be changed back to 0. Then go to the channels and activate it when receiving from channel 1, our channel that opens up these walls and starts the level. Lastly, before testing, throw down an HUD device, so that we can actually know if we won or lost the level. Just have it say something like, I don't know, "You won." Time from round start to 0. Show when receiving from to channel 3. And then copy it again and change the text to "You lost" and the channel to 4. Okay, time to start and see how it works so far. Then later we'll continue expanding this into having multiple levels. We're getting close, don't worry. Run to the jelly, start the level, and the walls open up. We get our gun and we can start shooting. I'm first going to fail to see if it actually works, so shoot 2 targets and wait for the timer to run out. And as expected, we get teleported back out and we see the lost message. Great. Well, kinda, Now we can't repress the button yet until the 20-second reset timer is hit to ensure that all targets are back up. But once it does, press it again, and this time we'll pass by shooting all 3 targets. And then once the timer runs out, boom, we win. Great. Now, finally, we're going to expand this mechanic a little bit more to have multiple levels. So prepare to go even more crazy. First up, we're going to need another room. So quickly, just build a copy of your layout on the second floor. Then copy over the jelly, the button, and even the trick tiles can have the exact same options. Don't forget to also copy over your targets, obviously.
Moments later.
Then go to your teleporter, and we're going to change the teleport to channel from 2 to 4. Why? Well, we're only going to teleport here if we failed the test. If we passed it, then we'll teleport to a different one. And now that we have our attribute trigger in place, that lets us know when we failed to transmit on channel 4, we can use that one. Then copy your teleporter to the second level as well, but to set the teleport to when receiving from to channel 3, our success for the first level. Now go back to your attribute trigger and set the disable when receiving from to channel 3. That means that if we pass a level, we just don't want to use it anymore. Next, throw down a new attribute trigger that we'll start using when we start the next level, and configure it as followed. Minimum team score to 3, just like before, but if you want to put more or less targets in the second level, you can just up or down this number. Enable on game start to disabled, and then enable when receiving from channel 3. So this means this attribute trigger won't get used until we complete this first level. Now listen to channel 2, just like before. If all checks are valid, transmit on to channel 5, which is our next free channel. And lastly, the if a check is invalid, transmit on to channel 3, which is our one first level channel. Now finally, I'm just going to remove my previous HUD device that said that I lost, and only keep the one saying I won, but instead just show it at the end of the 2 levels, meaning channel 5. Then go back to your first attribute trigger and set the disable when receiving from to channel 3. Again, channel 3, what is that? It's when we beat the first level. And then we don't need to use this one anymore because we already have the new one. Now for the very last part of this entire mechanic, we're going to change the weapon for each level. All we need to do for that is grab our item granter, disable it when receiving from channel 3, meaning we beat the first level again, copy and paste it right next to it. Go into the configuration and then click on the more options button right here on the bottom. Then click on clear items. Now change the enable on game start to no, because we'll only start using the second item granter when we actually reach the second level, and set the enable when receiving from to channel 3. And if you have more than 2 levels, then set the disable when receiving from to channel 5, which is our win of the second level. Now just drop a new item in here and voila, we have different weapons for each level. Don't forget to add a last teleporter for channel 5 when you beat this level. Either onto level 3 and you repeat this entire last process of copying the attribute trigger and the item granter, or if you only have 2 levels, then just back to the start saying GG or something like that. So now that we have that, let's go and try. We start the first level and shoot the 3 targets. Because we won, we'll get teleported up to the next level. Now if we would have lost, we would have just been teleported back to the hallway of the first floor. Now when I do this in the second level again, I'll get a "You won" message after beating it. Now go out there, expand this however you want. If you want more levels, just repeat the same process with copying the attribute trigger, binding the invalid checks channel to the win channel of the previous level, and the valid checks to a new channel that teleports you up. It's that easy. I know this was like kinda difficult, but if you just take it step by step, you should be able to do it. I believe in you. Now before I go, I want to say thank you so much for all the support lately. And if you want to help me out, then the best way to support me is by typing in code Fortnite Creative Tutorials in the item shop, because it really helps. And with the new season coming up, we're gonna get so many new toys and stuff, it's gonna be awesome. And if you made it this far in the video, then thank you so much. You guys are the ones that make these videos do really good, so thank you for that. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you guys very soon with the next part of something new for